What's up, fine people? I want to talk about the future of Ghost Recon. There are great things that were in the first Ghost Recon but never seen again in the series. Modification support, a level editor, bullet ricochets, 36-player matches, recording of missions, a platoon roster, permanent deaths, an observer mode for strictly RTS gameplay, locational injuries, and more. Heck, I could talk about how they call it a squad-based shooter despite the term squad meaning there are 6 or more people in the group. That's another thing only Ghost Recon 1 has. However, I'm going to talk about Russian enemies. Similar to German enemies, that's something we don't see in games. We need to finally have a game. No, I'm just kidding. I want to talk about something that was in Ghost Recon 1, then removed in Ghost Recon 2, then replaced for GRAW, and later removed again. Fusion goggles. For those who don't know and haven't guessed, fusion vision is a hybrid of night vision and thermal vision. Both of those visions have advantages and disadvantages, such as night vision not working much beyond 300 meters and thermal vision not being able to see through glass. By combining them, the idea is that you get the best of both worlds and not the worst. If you can see infrared light and radiation, you have thermal vision that still allows for positive identification and sight through glass, both of which are crucial for urban warfare. You have night vision that allows you to quickly detect heat from near and far sources, greatly improving their effectiveness. When fusion goggles were first made, they had significant problems such as weight and battery life. Now, vast improvements have been made, and there are even civilian-accessible thermal overlays for night vision goggles. There is a good chance that you've already seen a new version of fusion vision, which features an infrared radiation outline. Not only does the new vision have thermal and night vision, but it also has AI to outline heat sources in the thermal range of humans and hard changes in lighting. Let's fuse fusion back into Ghost Recon. I already partially covered this. Fusion goggles were in Ghost Recon 1, they were unavailable in Ghost Recon 2, GRAW added them back, then Future Soldier was the last game to have them. The goggles were rather weak in some of those games, losing the crispness found in Ghost Recon 1. In fact, even in Wildlands and Breakpoint, both the night vision and thermal vision are weak. Future Soldier added a magnet vision so that casual players can see through walls. So seeing through walls was not considered overpowering, but realistic night vision is overpowering according to Ubisoft. It's either that or they can't make more realistic night and thermal vision. Either way, it's a skill issue. There's not much to say in the realism section. I've already mentioned that night and thermal vision in the modern titles have been very unrealistic. They are less realistic than in past UB titles. I don't know what they think they're doing. Night vision can easily brighten environments for hundreds of meters without an IR illuminator, assuming the environment isn't extremely dark. Yet in Breakpoint it often makes it harder to see at night, and it's not effective at distances. In real life, thermal vision generally works farther than night vision does, but modern Ghost Recon titles treat it as if it has a range of 50 meters or something. Typically, games make things stronger or easier than in real life. Even modern Ghost Recon titles do this, with guns having almost no sway and drones teleporting and magically recharging. I mean, we get thermal and night vision goggles that don't have such a function. Therefore, the fusion vision should be at least as strong as it is in reality. If, for whatever bad excuse, UB cannot make fusion goggles, then night vision and thermal vision should be made more realistic. Night vision should brighten things for hundreds of meters, but reduce your speed and field of view. It should make muzzle flash worse, especially with a suppressor, but it should auto-gate steady, bright lights. Suppressors should have more flash when they are cold, such as during the first shot, and they should cause more port pop. Night vision struggles with photonic barriers, which are areas of bright light that prevent brightening of what's behind it. Thermal vision should highlight heat for 1,000 meters, but hot days should heat the area, removing contrast even after dusk. It can also make muzzle flash worse, but its biggest drawbacks are the slow refresh rate and the inability to see through transparent objects. Though, if close enough, the heat from a source can transfer to other objects, whether they're transparent or opaque. Players should be able to watch engines and tires heat and cool, telling them whether the vehicle was recently used. What happened to the days of Ubisoft adding such detail? There's not much to say for the gameplay section either. It improves gameplay by giving the best of both worlds. If it works as in Ghost Recon 1, it removes the need to toggle through an extra vision mode. It restores the feeling of technological superiority that was signature to Ghost Recon. It makes playing at night more realistic than the recent thermal and night vision goggles have. It can also be used to add more functionality, excusing game elements similar to the cross-comm system. By giving technological advantages, the AI can be made stronger and or more numerous without becoming overwhelming, and many of us want smarter bots, friendly and hostile. If there is a battery system, it adds an interesting aspect of managing the usage of thermal, but that's for an open world mode. Management of usage adds strategy. Getting further from the action-focused, run-and-gun, point-and-click gameplay of the modern Ghost Recon titles is the right move. Most of the implementation should be obvious, especially if you've listened to everything so far. Basically, make realistic fusion goggles. Ubi should be simulating the Army's newest fusion vision, complete with the option to use night, thermal, or fusion vision. Breakpoint had better than average binding options. I would likely bind night vision and fusion vision to the same input with a double tap to switch to thermal vision and a hold to flip the goggles up and off. Alternatively, it could be good to have on and off as one key, with a second key to cycle through each mode, especially if the game remembers the last used mode. Of course, with the game being based on Tom Clancy's writings and featuring an elite fictional group, it makes sense to have upgrades to the military's ENVG-B, including 4 intensifier tubes for panoramic vision. The augmented reality of the goggles would allow for amazing things, such as some found in GRAW, others found in Future Soldier, and others found in the military's IVAS. It could add crosshairs for your firearms if you turn on a laser or a matching scope. This would allow the game to have bullets come from the barrel of the gun instead of the center of the screen, while still being friendly to players who would otherwise struggle to understand why their shots are missing. The specialized scope would enable players to use night vision while seeing through the optic, something that is essentially impossible with other scopes. When not aiming, it would have a toggle for bringing up a picture-in-picture overlay of the scope, looking similar to optics in the old game Delta Force. The augmented reality could mark fellow ghosts, if not have an entire identify friend-foe system similar to the one in GRAW's Crosscom. The augmented reality could be available when goggles are equipped, even when they're not swung down, allowing players to have the features while thermal, night, and fusion vision are off. The system would be bound to a HUD toggle that could be tied to a battery system. The AR would also include a compass, mission details, and objective markers. Ghost Recon belongs in open levels. In such a game, there would not be a great use for having battery life simulated. Some missions might occur soon after another, and that could affect batteries. However, for an open world mode or for an open world survivor-based Ghost Recon game, having a battery life simulation would be great. You would have to balance when you use the strength of a thermal overlay. On the other hand, they can simply say that it uses technology which connects to the ether, an infinite source of power that engulfs the planet. Objects would heat and cool realistically. Since night vision only amplifies light, it doesn't always show targets. Thermal vision does not have that problem because it doesn't show light. However, it needs temperature differences to show things. Heat signatures would also appear beyond what night vision illuminates and stand out drastically more, especially in small openings. But the slower refresh rate would make it harder to track objects. The goggles would be able to automatically switch thermal off to see through fires. Obviously, the night vision would have auto-gating, allowing for usage even in the daylight, but the thermal overlay would be less effective when everything is hot. I would find it interesting if shots to the helmet could break the system, maybe with varying stages of malfunction. That would be similar to the persistent injury system that should exist for every soldier, not only the player. There would be an inventory system complete with weight. This would allow players to equip the fusion goggles or older goggles that don't have fusion or even thermal vision. It would also allow players to stick goggles in their backpacks or grab goggles off of others. Rather than repeat them, I'll tell you to go back and listen to some of the thermal vision and night vision advantages and disadvantages I listed in the previous sections in case you want a quick idea. Again, the goal is realism, but more advanced than what the general public knows about. The goal is not unrealistically bad night and thermal vision, but then a magical cloak that turns soldiers and their gear, including the guns, invisible. It is not unrealistically bad ballistics, but then magical silencers. If the game is too hard, give the player more health, worse enemy accuracy, and fewer enemies on easy difficulties. If the game is too easy during testing, it is because the enemy bots are too stupid or too few. It is not because the player's gear is too realistic. We do not need less, but more and better simulation. This lecture has been different than the others, as I don't think many, if any, people will oppose it in its simplest form. I think it should be pretty unanimous that the newest vision mode to be issued to US troopers should be available in future Ghost Recon games. I am still interested in the idea of having survival-based Ghost Recon games released between the traditional Ghost Recon games. The survival ones might have a story that makes sense of the ghosts being technologically disadvantaged. It could even be an open world mode that's included alongside the open level campaign in all future Ghost Recon games. However, for the traditional campaigns, ghosts are supposed to be the ones with technological superiority. That means the games are supposed to feature near future technology based on current prototypes. At the very least, we should be getting the newest tech that is currently being used by the US military. Enemies should have advantages of size and fortification. Ghosts should have the advantages of technology and skill. Players should have a well-designed tactical shooter. We should have fusion goggles. Ghost Recon should be Ghost Recon again.